Hello everyone. In this video I want to speak about the Mercury-Uranus square while Mercury is stationing retrograde and Uranus is stationing direct. This is one of those really cool combination of energies. So let's speak about this. We have Mercury right now stationing to go retrograde. It'll be retrograde here in the West Coast in the US on Friday morning. And it's happening a half degree away from Uranus and Taurus, which after several months of going retrograde is stationing to go direct. And it'll go direct pretty much 4 days after Mercury goes retrograde. So if you can think of the energies of this, they get just before square and they slow down and they go backwards, or they go in the opposite directions of where they've been. We often hear, and Mercury's in Aquarius, it's ruled by Uranus in Taurus. This is also meaningful to know that Mercury is stationing retrograde just before a conjunction to Saturn as well. So there are several dimensions here where it's like Mercury is a lot of information, perspective, data, and it's getting close to some sort of profound synthesis. And then it's going back for more realization, more evaluation, more information, more experience. We often hear with the Uranus-Aquarius archetype that it corresponds to shocks and surprises. And I'd like to say that it doesn't correspond to shocks and surprises. Uranus-Aquarius corresponds to that only because of Saturn. We can really say Saturn-Capricorn is the reason why we experience shocks and surprises. From the perspective of Uranus-Aquarius itself, there are no shocks or surprises in reality. That which is emerging, that is sort of out of the field, out of the blue, relative to our conditioned consciousness, is only such because of our conditioned consciousness. The whole archetype of shocks and surprise, I didn't expect that, or I didn't see it going this way, or even just the whole realm of synchronicities, how all of life can be coordinated according to some kind of greater divine algorithm. The intelligence of creation and the individuality of life itself is so brilliant and so what it is, that only a clear mind, a mind clear of projection, a mind clear of the past, a mind free of the future, can see it. Aquarius, Uranus is about seeing, pure observation. And the archetype of observation is when we're looking without preconception, meaning we're not bringing the past into our seeing, we're not anticipating the future. It's an experience of seeing where it's just witnessing. It doesn't give anything a name. That's why often this archetype is associated with science. Because in scientific observation, you're looking at something, you're discovering the nature of reality through pure observation, looking through a telescope, and you observe, there's a star, there's a planet, it's moving. You actually see what's happening within creation. So the experience of shocks and surprises happens because of the Saturn-Uranus interface. Thus, there can be at this time, with such strong Aquarian energy and also Mercury involved, as we know, information, data, point of view, there's a zillion different kinds of thought forms and ways of thinking of reality that we haven't thought of yet, simply because we haven't had that conversation. We haven't tasted that food. We haven't gotten in our car and gone to that place that will then ignite new thought ways in our mind. There's a potential for all kinds of new dendrites to be formed, a whole bunch of new pathways of thinking beyond what we've otherwise been expecting or thinking. So, the possibility of there being a lot of newness, and perhaps a lot of discomfort relative to the logical cohesions that we've created, might be happening now, and especially over the next week, as these planets really station within half a degree of each other, and Uranus begins to move direct. But it's just helpful to remember that what it's chipping away at are the ways in which we've crystallized a version of reality that says this is how it has to be, this is how it has to look, this is what it has to do. There's an I Ching hexagram that I think about when I feel into this transit, 17, which is following. And my teacher, Hilary Barrett, speaks about this hexagram as we can experience life as a steady sequence of unfolding synchronicities, like everything's unfolding perfectly on time as it's meant to, or we can feel that nothing's working. There's one snafu after another. Our plans and our ideas and where we're trying to go, just things aren't flowing. The essence of that hexagram 17 is there's a flow. There's a flow to life. That flow to life is impersonal. It's not about us. It's not something we're creating. It's a part of the intelligence of life itself. And we can think thoughts that resonate with it, or we can, in a sense, be trying to assert our own version of reality, trying to make to be so what isn't so. And then we'll experience a lot of dissonance and confusion. So there's something right now in opening our hearts to the perspective of the Fool. The Fool is the attitude that says, okay, I'm open to experience, I'm open to what happens. If we're going, very often during, this is a fascinating time, very often during the Mercury station period, there are a lot of last minute decisions. I always speak about this, and it's something I've experienced so many times. Last minute agreement, last minute purchases, last minute choices, and then the retrograde happened, and there's like an editing process, a development process. Many things will begin to unfold, and we'll get to play out and really deepen into whatever was set in motion prior to the retrograde. So there's an attitude to cultivate in this of openness. All right, this is gonna be cool. Because of this choice, because I'm willing to try something new, new things are gonna happen. I'm going to be open to new experiences. I'm gonna learn something that I've never learned. I'm gonna think things I've never thought before. I can't emphasize enough how meaningful and fun and what's the word? Interesting. Interesting is a good word. Something you often hear people say, that was interesting. But for something to be interesting, it's grabbing our interest. We're engaged, we're fascinated by it. We're curious, like, oh, that's really interesting. And there's such freedom and beauty in living life where we're actually engaged and curious and interested and fascinated. Oh, this is so interesting. Where is this going? What's the teaching? What am I learning? What do we get to learn? What's possible? What's emerging here? And this only coincides with a state of freedom inside, where we are not trying to recreate the past, not trying to bring in the future. We're not trying to control the current of things. Something that I'm working on right now is I'm reformatting a lot of my website work. So I'm taking a lot of videos off of Teachable, where I've been selling a lot of single classes, and I'm gradually uploading them to my website. Some of them I'm going to be editing and actually offering for free here on my YouTube channel. So you'll be seeing all that happening in the coming weeks. And that's a great project during this kind of retrograde period. Taking online content, editing it, simplifying it, and moving it into a new format. And meanwhile, I'm creating new playlists, new ways of formatting my website for my courses. I have hours upon hours and hours of video content from the 2 different courses that I taught last year that I'm relaunching again this year. Check it out in the link below. And I'm like learning all these cool ways of working with WordPress to format all this content to make it really accessible and really user-friendly. And there's just like this big field of data and learning. I recorded professionally my first song with multiple instruments and harmonies, and I'm learning how to really work with it, how to make it sound good quality. And these are things that we get to find ourselves learning and experiencing. Michelle just bought a trailer, which will be used as a personal space for painting. And because of that, we're going to be moving some furniture out of the main house, because now there's more space as we're putting it in the trailer. And that means I'm going to be able to bring a piano into the main house. And what happened? We find in the trailer, there's sheet music. For what songs? Disney songs. I love Disney. All I've been doing is watching Disney songs, Disney shows. They're the most beautiful music out there. And I don't really read sheet music, but these are beginner sheet music. It's going to be easy enough for me to learn. So it just flow, right? The piano and the trailer and the sheet music, it's all just kind of coming together. So we get to experience life in that way. The most important cultivation is one of freedom, non-attachment, non-expectation. So tune in right now. What choices can we be making? What decisions can we be making? What can we be setting in motion that will actually clear the slate and open the field to emptiness, to freedom, to the gift of just experiencing life? Meanwhile, with Uranus stationing direct, whenever a planet stations direct, it's always signifying an opening, an awakening, a possible level of clarity relative to that planetary archetype. So there can be a lot right now for us to make certain decisions and choices that pertain to our larger evolutionary future, the greater trajectory of our soul journey, where we're destined to go according to our true nature. These choices might feel scary, or it might seem like certain things have to go in a certain way. I just want us to remember that what's meant to be will be. There's something unavoidable to that. But to differentiate between what we can call fate and fear. So often we recreate experiences because we're seeing stimuli from life and we think we need to respond in a certain way. There's a threshold within the Uranus archetype where actually pieces are arising, but we get to choose a different response. And that's by staying as an observer and cultivating a higher intelligence, right? Really choosing to see it. What does it look like to see this without fear, with openness, with curiosity? Just to remember too that the nature of life itself is harmony and resonance. And so the unfolding of our own soul journey is always going to bring us together in a good way with other people, with all of life itself. And there's always a feeling that we are supporting each other. Our awakening, our blossoming coincides. And we have the ingredients and the pieces for each other. And so there gets to be the possibility of feeling the joy and the excitement, perhaps through a little bit of stress, of how wonderfully unified everything is. Okay, so once again, over the next few weeks, I am going to be posting videos. I'm going to be giving little introductions to these videos. These previously were sold on my website, so I'm very excited to share them. Some of them are from past classes that I've taught with other organizations, and I just want to release more of it. I don't have to sell everything on my website, and it just feels good to share it more freely. And once again, the Essentials course and the full year training program is now open. The website's getting a good upgrade, so I'm very excited. We have a 423-page transcription, 25 videos, and just the Essentials course. That's not including the second half of the year. So check it out in the link below. Thank you all for watching.